Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Hello. Good evening, guys. How's everyone doing? Testing. You should only hear one of me now. Damien, what's evening? Hello, what's happening? Rezio, good evening. Kevin, Zardos, Wargsbane, hello. Zachary, Adrian. Flowbrain, Monkey Llama. Good evening, Podgar, what's happening? Say hello to Living Ghost with the Echo. Hello, Living Ghost with the Echo. Blood Buffalo, hello. What's happening, guys? Gonna paint heavy intercessors, I think. Camera in a little bit. Oh. How's everyone? You guys all had a good day? We gotta decide who the sergeant is in this squad. I was gonna say, should the sergeant be the guy with a heavy bolter? I mean, there's no disadvantage to him being the sergeant now, is there? Or there's no like requirement or whatever you want to call it. Like, if he wants to be the sergeant, he can be the sergeant now. Yeah, maybe this guy will be the sergeant. Why not? So what's people... I was going to say, what have people been doing in the hobby this week? What's been happening, guys? This is the first time I'm hobbying this week. I did film the newest tier list on Monday night. I did finish editing it last night. So I do have a new tier list coming out this week. And YouTube have just added this new thing where videos can get released early for members. So I might try it. I might put this new video out early for members. I've never done it before. I'm gonna see how it works. Never used it. So tier list will be out on Friday for everybody, but members might get it early. Apparently this is a new thing YouTube have just emailed me about it like yesterday, telling me that we can use it. So we'll see. We'll see. Be a cool perk to being a channel member, I guess. You got all the weekly videos a little bit earlier. I mean, having a few people send me Iron Storm lists as well, and I think I saw a couple of people did really well at tournaments with Iron Storm, like undefeated Iron Storm lists. Rizzo's been hobbying Death Guard. Blood Buffalo still delivering in the cold, making Christmas happen. What a superstar. Who'd you work for, Blood Buffalo? Like, it has been pretty cold here in the UK again today. My hands were sort of numb on my walk home from work. I'm wearing gloves on my walk home from work and my hands were still frozen, proper numb like. So Scotland's starting to move into proper December weather. I don't know why my ancestors decided to live in Scotland. It's like freezing for 6 months of the year. It's ridiculous. But, oh well, that's where I am. Must have been better than wherever else the options were. So sorry, there's no live game tonight. I mean, you should have probably guessed by that, the fact that I'm not at the office to do a live game. But I have my staff night out with work tomorrow and had to go out for a little bit last night. So it's just... can't get out 3 times a week without my wife wanting to. But you know what? It's just I just can't get out that many times in a week, I guess. So just hobbying tonight then, and it's good because you know what? I feel like I haven't finished anything in ages. So I finally sort of settled on these heavy intercessors. I've been painting them for a while now. So it'd be good to try and get this unit. I'm probably not even halfway with this unit, honestly. But it would be good to keep practicing, or to keep working on it and getting close to the end. Camo says Firestorm or Vanguard are still the way to go. I haven't been seeing anyone winning tournaments with Firestorm and Vanguard. I have been seeing some people winning them with Ironstorm. And most of my decision making for what detachments are good will go off who's winning tournaments. And Ironstorm's just got that very, very heavy synergy with the lethal hits in the Tech Marine stuff. So you just need 2 Tech Marines in that list with the 2 relics, and you're kind of already halfway there to a really strong list, right? So, yeah. And I also saw some Black Templars lists. Black Templars playing Ironstorm, because I guess Black Templars playing Ironstorm makes those multi-meltas a lot more reliable. So you get a bunch of Impulsors with multi-meltas, they get a lot more reliable because of Ironstorm. It's not like rocket science, that list, but I guess it's certainly working. Go for it, Painting. Good evening, how are you? Flowbrain says he's building his Tyrannid Christmas box. The Tank Blood Angels meta has me off a bit. Well, I've actually added more jump units to my list as of late, and I've actually dropped some tanks. So I've added Centurions, I guess. That's why I dropped another tank. So my list has 3 tanks and 1 Dreadnought now. I do have Centurions, I do have a bunch of Gravis Marines. Toughness 4 Marines are exceedingly difficult to play, I guess. But you know what? There's supposed to be a balanced status late in January. Maybe we'll get some changes in January. Maybe post-January you might actually see some Sanguinary Guard. Maybe they'll finally get... I was going to say, do you think they'll finally get them balanced for 10th edition in January? Do you think they'll manage? I don't know. I think they'll struggle to get them competitive with the Death Company, honestly. Because I think people think that that Firstborn Death Company with jump packs is just by far the best option Blood Angels have for... And yeah, that's the tier list coming out this week. This week we did Jump Infantry and Phobos. So Jump Infantry and Phobos are coming out on Friday. Where are you searching all your tournament data? Dude, people send me it. Like, I don't have to even search it. People just send me like, hey, this list went 3-0 at this RTT here. And then typically they'll send me the list. People are very nice like that. Which is good because I actually don't have a subscription to BCP. I get too many subscriptions in my life, honestly. So, yeah, I don't have a subscription to BCP at the moment. I would actually like to cancel some of the subscriptions that we've got in this household, but the kids watch too much Disney Plus to get Disney Plus cancelled, so can't get that cancelled. Yeah. But yeah, I saw, I think it was 2 Black Templars lists, both went 3-0 in the same RTT. So basically you had like 2 Black Templars lists. I guess they didn't play each other, but they both went 3-0. And they were both pretty similar lists. I was thinking of making a video on them because I still think, even though it's Black Templars, I think it's pretty interesting for people to see like what's winning and what detachment. And it was like when I looked at it, I was like, should I just be playing Ironstorm? Like, is Ironstorm just that good? I mean, it is. We all know it's good. Back in one sec. Yes, we are. Who's the artist for this tune? All my music is White Bat Audio. You can just search him on YouTube. He does loads of good stuff if you need royalty-free music. Anyone running 2 or 3 Redemptors? You know what? I still haven't tried that Burgosaurus. I feel like it might be worth trying in Ironstorm. I really do think it might be worth trying. But I've just not got around to trying Redemptor Dreadnoughts yet. I feel like I would have to, like, if I go Iron Storm, I need to go all in, right? Like, I'm thinking about this. There's another GT in the town that I live in March. And I guess, like, Christmas will eat up a bunch of time. So it'll be, like, probably the middle of January. Like, I'll maybe get, like, one or two more games before Christmas, but not many. So I feel like if I want to go to that GT, I need to either start going all in on Iron Storm. I'm not sure I want to go all in on Iron Storm because, like people have said, Iron Storm is just going to be all about tanks. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not very Blood Angels to go like 10 or 11 tanks, is it? I mean, it'll work. You could probably still have the Librarian Dreadnought, you could probably still have Aggressors, you could probably still even have like one unit of Death Company. But I'm not sure I want to go all in on Iron Storm. Plus, I did have a lot of fun playing Gladius, but I mean, Iron Storm could arguably be the strongest detachment. I guess we'll see what the win rates are, and I imagine the GW will do another win rate document. Probably... I don't think they'll do it in January because they just did it, right? When do you think they'll do the next win rate meta watch? Or do you think they'll do a meta watch with the January patch, I guess? Kevin says Iron Storm gets tiresome. Yeah, I mean, it's not what we're... It's great for reliability. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think Iron Storm is probably the most reliable. I think it's really hard to argue it's probably not going to be the most reliable just because you get those sort of like baked in rerolls on every single unit that makes an attack. It seems like it would be like super reliable. Plus, like, lethal hits on, like, a bunch of vehicles every turn. EOs on vehicles every turn. Yeah, I don't know. I think Iron Storm... It might be quite... is it going to be one-dimensional to play, maybe? Will it win a lot of games? Yeah, probably. Kyle says skip the Aggressors and Iron Storm. Yeah, they probably aren't the most optimal for Iron Storm, right? It's still not bad. It might be better in Flamers than Iron Storm, honestly. Living Ghost says Iron Storm is not fun to play. I mean, it's Iron Hands, right? Have you heard Valrak's rumour about the Blood Angels refresh? Yeah, I did watch a video from Valrak the other day about a Blood Angels refresh. I don't know, it might be quite hard to believe that there's a range refresh because we did get told that like the 10th edition box set originally was going to be all Blood Angels. Do you remember that rumour? And then there was another rumour about new Blood Angels, something or other, around the launch of 10th edition. There was like a rumour on Reddit. So I don't know. I kind of stopped making rumory content to a certain extent, I guess, right? There might be, but I'm not. There also equally might not be, I guess. I mean, will we get more new Blood Angels in the future? I mean, you can almost guarantee that there will be new Blood Angels in the future, right? Whether or not that comes this year or next year or with the Codex. I mean, like, Dark Angels are getting a bunch of stuff right now, and they're just getting their Codex, right? So would it not just make sort of sense if Dark Angels are getting a bunch of stuff because they're getting their Codex, then maybe Blood Angels will get a bunch of stuff when they get their Codex? Would those two things not maybe line up to make more sense? I don't know. I mean, sometimes stuff releases when it releases. There was also that teaser of the Wing a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. I mean, whenever there is new Blood Angels, I'll be here to cover them and we can talk about them. And but unless like I actually see a model and it's like concrete, I'm probably not gonna try and get too excited because There were so many Blood Angels rumors at the beginning of 10th, and then like none of them came true, right? Yeah, the rumor content is weird. Like, I guess, like, because the rumor mill knew about the Terminators before the Terminators came out. That definitely happened, right? But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, the answer is yes, I have seen Valrak's video on new Blood Angels rumors. I guess they're rumors, and we can leave it at that for now. We can all hope. I mean, we did get a new Dante recently, so it's not like there's not going to be new models. What was the gap between Dante and Mephisto in like 18 months? So we got Dante like 3 or 4 months ago now, right? So like next year maybe there'll be something new. I think you can probably think there'll be something new, but I mean regardless there'll probably be some new Marine kit, because it seems like they're never ending with the new Primaris kits. Like they're always coming out. There's always loads of them to come. Todd says he feels like Valrak's right 50% of the time. Yeah, I think so. Probably about 50% of the time. I mean, I think he's got somebody that feeds him some pretty seriously accurate information, right? Like, he definitely has somewhat accurate information. Whether or not it's always right or it's always not right, I guess it's a difficult one, I guess. But yeah. We'll get some new Blood Angels. We just might have to wait a little while. It'll happen. Do you know what? Based on the fact of how much I like Gravis, it would be nice if you could get a Gravis unit that was close combat. How about that? A fast-moving Gravis melee unit. I don't know why we haven't seen any Gravis melee units. We've seen Gravis Inceptors. I mean, technically we've got Gravis Aggressors, which are kind of like a melee unit, right? Do we not get Flying Aggressors or something? Something like that? A big durable honking unit that can be durable and also fast and killy. That'd be cool. I think we're more likely to just get some sort of Sanguinary Guard refresh / some sort of Death Company update. Maybe Death Company Intercessors can take jump packs or something. Interrupters. Primaris Interrupters. You just want them to begin with an I so that I get even more confused and mess up even more times when I'm trying to remember the names of stuff, don't you? I'm actually kind of okay with that name, Marcus, but yeah. I don't think we'll get another unit that begins with I. Something just tells me I don't think we'll get Gravis flying melee units. I feel like Games Workshop probably have left that door open for Inceptors only. Yeah. Would be cool though. That would change the meta up a bit. Living Ghost wants the Sanguiner to get a Demon Prince treatment. I kind of think he should be like a Demon Prince, honestly. I think he should have one of those rules that all the Chaos Demons have, where it's like if you actually kill him just on a 2-up, he just stands right back up. Like, he's the friggin' Sanguiner. He's been in the warp for so many years. He doesn't really care about getting defeated. He's just like, yeah, whatever, I just get back up. On a 2+, he comes back to life with like D6 wounds remaining or something nasty. That's what I want for Sanguinor. I actually was kind of looking at trying to get the Sanguinor in my current army list. I just think he's just like 20 or 30 points too more expensive for me at the moment. Maybe if he was like 120. Like I could fit him in, but I think at 140 I'm struggling. Fergosaurus says I need to order myself approximately 6 to 9 intercept. I was going to say, I'm going to say this wrong now. Inceptors. What's the plan around that many Inceptors, Berg? You thinking Blood Angels for that many? Or are you thinking another chapter? I'm not sure I feel like I would field that many. Personally. I mean, different people field, like, armies differently. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I feel like I would field... I even know if I would field 6 Inceptors, honestly. Your list doesn't need a Sanguinar? No, but I was thinking if I would change it up a bit and lose... I was thinking about Company Heroes and Seth, but I'm kind of maybe not going to do that. I think I'm going to keep the 2 Squads of Death Company. You think Inceptors will get nerfed? I don't know. I don't think Inceptors are that... Are they that meta? Are they in that many lists? I don't know if I feel Inceptors need to be nerfed. They don't survive very well. Yeah, they're very good at killing, like, chaff. They don't do all that much damage against vehicles or monsters, do they? My Inceptors completely whiffed in one of the games at the tournament I was at, in that, like, I shot all 3 of them with bolters and they did 0 damage. So I'm not sure I'm convinced that they're, like... I'm not sure I'm convinced that they need to get nerfed in any way, shape or form. Just not sure they do enough damage to be like, yeah, they definitely need nerfed. Like, they'll do damage against chaff units, but anything higher than T8, which honestly is a lot of stuff these days. If you run MSU Hellblasters, that something dropped the Librarian Dread, then I'd add the Sanguinar. It's a nifty comfort. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Plasma though, like, units that kill themselves, man. Even when I ran, like, I think I ran Plasma Inceptors a couple of times, but even when I ran them, I feel like I very rarely ever overcharged the Plasmas. Maybe that's why they weren't that good for me, but I always talk about how I like durable things, and I guess durability doesn't mix well with, hey, you kill yourself in a roll of a 1. I've seen a few people do it though, right? There's a few different armies using Hellblasters. It's not my favourite, I guess. About the only Plasma that I ever really liked was the Plasma on the Redemptor Dreadnought last edition. But even last edition it had problems because of the D6 number of shots. Like, if it had a more reliable number of shots, then I think it would have been good. As such, I think it was pretty average. Kevin says overcharge always. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be aggressive with the Hellblasters, then yeah, I guess you should always overcharge. I think it's just different playstyle, right? Like, my playstyle generally has me trying to keep units alive. And sometimes that's to my own detriment. Like, when I've made all the slides, I just haven't got around to filming the video yet. When I make the video about my game against Chaos Knights at the GT, where if I'd won the game, I finished top 3. At the end of the game, I had way more stuff alive than the Chaos Knight player. Like, way more. Like, he had friggin' nothing left, and I had like 5, 7, maybe even 700 points of stuff. Like, I had a lot left. I just didn't score enough in the early game, and I guess that's probably you know, if you're like, I might be quite a cautious player. I might win games by being quite cautious and conservative, but then when you're playing an army you've not really played much against, there's obviously you can be overcautious, and I guess I was overcautious, and you know, if there'd been one more turn I 100% won the game, but the game is only 5 turns, so if you're too cautious you can lose the game based on that, and I think that's possibly what happened. Living Ghost says, I'm considering taking a drop pod for secondaries. Take scouts, man. Scouts can redeploy every turn. You can basically have 2 squads of scouts for 110 points. That's probably all you need now. You know, like in the olden days you needed to have like 2 or 3 units in reserve. I think you can do it now with two squads of scouts, 110 points. You can bring them in, you can put them back off the board, basically as often as you want. And I think they'll genuinely score you quite a lot of points. They're on those tiny little nice bases as well, so it's easy to fit the models in. You'd be surprised at how little of a footprint scouts will have, I guess, right? I quite like the idea of putting the 5 Hellblasters on a really tall building so that you get plunging fire. Because Hellblasters already have great AP. So if you were in Gladius Detachment, you could get plunging fire for 1 more AP, and then you could use Storm of Fire for potentially another AP. So you could get 2 extra AP on your Hellblasters, and you could get Ignore Cover as well. So I think that part of it would be crazy strong. Especially if you team them up with someone that gives them like sustained hits or something like that. Plunging Fire almost never exists on my tables. I've had it a couple of times. I guess it only exists on, let's say, like, we usually play with about 10 terrain pieces on the board, and probably only like 1 or 2 have the ability to get Plunging Fire from. People forget it even exists, though. It is a handy rule. So I'm very much just winging the colours on this guy at this point. I was like looking for a colour scheme, but now I've just given up. Just making it up as I go. To be fair, your way wins way more ways. Way more games than my way wins, says Blood Buffalo. I kind of think that the reason I win so many games of Blood Angels is because I've just played so many games of Blood Angels. I think I have an advantage over people that play multiple armies, right? Because I only ever play one advantage. I probably have a disadvantage as well in that, like, if our rules are bad for an edition or are bad for a quarter, I'm kind of screwed because I only have the one army to play. So it's a blessing and a curse to only play one army. What it means is you've used all your units lots of times, you've seen them go into different situations, and you know exactly the strengths and weaknesses of your units. But then the other weakness is if there's a time when your units aren't good, or if there's a time where you really want to play something else, you can't. So playing one army feels like 100% a blessing and a curse, but it does mean that when I come up against people, like I play Andrew a lot, and Andrew jumps from army to army to army. And he does beat me occasionally, but it feels like most of the time I play Andrew, I probably beat him, but I think it's just because I only play the one army. So I know exactly what my army can do. And I think if he probably just played one army, he would know exactly what that army can do. And he was doing it for a little while. He was only playing Sisters, and I felt like when he was only playing Sisters, it might have been a bit boring on my channel, that it was just like Blood Angels versus Sisters every week. But I feel like when he was only playing sisters, my god, he was difficult to beat on his sisters. Because you just, the same thing goes, right? You know every in and out of your units. You're playing the same units week on week. So you know exactly what they can do in every situation. You know when to attack, you know when to not attack, etc, 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 right? Andrew played sisters well, says Berg. Yeah, no, he was really scary when he was only playing sisters. I feel like I lost probably, I think that was probably around 50-50, but, you know, I would win one, he would win one, but 50-50 isn't good enough for Andrew. He needs to chase the top meta and try and get, like, he needs to find that army that can just beat everybody with some sort of cheese build. That's what he likes. Like, he would rather find a cheese build with a list than just keep playing the same list, I guess. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I'm playing aggressors every game, and are they a little bit of a cheese build? Probably. Like, I feel like they're just too reliable damage output. Like, they probably shouldn't be as reliable as they are, maybe. But they are insanely reliable, and I run them basically every game. Mullen, good evening. I played against World Eaters in a tournament last week. I really underestimated how much damage they can put out in melee. Yes, it's crazy, isn't it? When I started reading your comment, Mullen, I hoped you were going to say, I watched your video about playing against World Eaters a few weeks ago and it really helped me. But no, you didn't say that. Did you watch that video? That would have helped. World Eaters are nasty, man. They're one of the few melee factions that I feel still work really well in melee. I played them on stream last week and literally won with I had to make it, I think I had to pass like a 4-up or a 5-up save with the final roll of the dice. If I pass the save, I win the game. If I fail the save, I lose the game. And I was miles ahead of the World Eaters at one point in that game. At one point in that game, it was like, oh, this game's over. I'm miles ahead. But those World Eaters, they hang in there, and then inevitably it feels like Angron respawns. And then when Angron respawns, and you're already down a lot of units because you had to commit quite a lot to kill him the first time round, that's when shit gets hairy, right? He was doing the sisters when Repentia were at the peak of their power. Yeah, I remember Repentia at the peak of their power, man. They gave me nightmares. Every game it was like 3 squads of Repentia. They literally ate Space Marines up. Like, Space Marines had no chance of surviving against them. It's ridiculous. They were so fast as well, I think, with the auto advance and charge with the Merkel dice. My opponent didn't field Angron. I thought my vehicles would be safe against low strength weapons, and those lethal hits and dev wounds also do a slap into Land Raider. Yeah, I think in the game I played against World Eaters this week, I think Carr and the Betrayer lived for like 3 more turns than you should have lived for. And then every time he kills something, he's giving them like extra blessings and nonsense. It was a tough game. I think I definitely thought that like, oh, I'd won the game in turn 2, but the World Eaters, they just hang in there and they keep making those combats and they keep just whittling you down little by little. But yeah, watch the video I did against World Eaters a few weeks ago, man. That might help you if you fight them again. You can't underestimate their speed as well, because if they get those 2 blessings, they can get a blessing that gives them advance and charge, and then they can get a blessing that gives their whole army like 2 inches of movement. I think the 8-bound already move like 9, so like suddenly they're moving 10 with advance and charge, and sometimes they're coming out of transports and nonsense like that. So it's just like, yeah, World Eaters are scary. I don't overly like playing them. And I think the thing that you have to just remember is, like, I feel like even if you're in Sons of Sanguinius Detachment, not that I play that one, but even if you are in that one, just expect their melee to outperform your melee in every combat, because it does, and it just feels like their melee is, like, 3 guys can kill the whole squad, and, like, can overkill the whole squad, right? Like, their melee is just crazy compared to Blood Angel's melee. You can't wait to see the video against the guard infantry list. Yeah, do you know what? I've got all the slides and everything ready, man. I just need to film it. It's just coming up on the, on the run up to Christmas. Apparently my life just becomes crazy busy, and do you know what? We've got a deadline for work for like my day job for Christmas. So it's just like busy at work. So I've been staying a little bit longer in the office of an evening, and then busy, you know, just I guess just generally busy at Christmas time. So it is what it is, I guess. When I do release the video about fighting the 200-300 guardsmen, it'll be interesting to see what you guys say, because looking back at that video, or looking back at that match, because obviously I've looked at the match when I was putting all the stuff together. I was like, man, I think regardless of what I did, I would have just really struggled to win that match. Like, it was just a really tough match. If you scroll World Eaters down with screens, they fall apart. Don't know if I've got enough screens in my list. There's too many elites in my list. The Gravis Marines were really good into the World Eaters. Was it the 8-bound? I think it was a squad of 8-bound went into like a squad of heavy intercessors. And normally when a squad of 8-bound get into you, they just kill the whole unit, right? That's normally what happens. Like, if a squad of 8-bound get into like an intercessor squad, or like an infiltrator squad, or an incursor squad, usually the whole squad's just dead. That's usually what happens. But I found with heavy intercessors, we're really able to survive a little bit into the 8-bound. I was really pleased with the heavy intercessors. I guess I just keep coming back to, I'm really pleased with heavy intercessors. It seems to be like a recurring theme for me. I like heavy intercessors a lot. Moradin Glory says the Guard are the anti-meta meta. They really are. They can have like guardsmen with OC4, and they can have 20-man squads, so they're dropping OC 80 on an objective. And if you do kill the squad, they can bring them all back for 1 CP. It's kind of outrageous. Terrence says, I wonder if John likes heavy intercessors yet. Have you not heard? You've not been here, Terrence. It's literally all I talk about. Heavy intercessors, heavy intercessors. No, I think they're great. I love them. I don't even know why I really tried them. I think I just tried them because I had like 2 squads of them, and I was like, I must have just had enough points to try them. Probably tried them, like I said, I like durable things. I have started building my second squad of them. I don't know if I have room in a list to field 2 squads of heavy intercessors, and plus I don't know if there's a way to run 2 squads for Blood Angels and be all that effective, but I did start building the second set I had. Just cause reasons I guess. Crozier says, since heavy intercessors are battle line, you can add inquisitors to it. Have you ever considered to add that inquisitor that gives them lone operative outside 18 inches and a 2-up save every turn? What inquisitor is that? No, I have not considered that, Crozier. I must admit, I've not run an inquisitor this edition. I only just started running assassins. And I'm running the Calidus Assassin for point scoring and like vecting enemy stratagems. The vect would have been huge actually against that guard list, because I could have made his bring a unit back, stratagem, 3 CP, which would have kind of, you might have still been able to do it, but it would have stopped all his other stuff. Steven says it's great to run Draxus. Oh, Draxus is the Inquisitor in question, is she? No, I haven't run her. I actually only have like a generic Inquisitor model, and who was the one with Spy Network? Damn it. It's been a while since I run an Assassin. And the guy that's got Spy Network, his name was... Oh, I can't remember. He's got the Crow, the Cyber Crow, or the Cyber Vulture, I think it's called. There's only 2 Inquisitors I own. I mean, I can probably use one of them as a proxy for Draxus. My list is really struggling with points, though. Like, I get no points left over on my list. Like, none whatsoever. So that's making it difficult. Cotiers, that's right, thanks. Hi Felix, how you doing? Marius, what's happening? Marius, do you know, every time you come in here you tell me you've missed, do you know how to turn on your YouTube notifications? Because they must not be on, man. How are you anyway, Marius? I mean, giving the Heavy Intercessors loan op is probably a fine option, but here's the thing, the Heavy Intercessors usually survive when they're targeted, right? And maybe there's some strength in that. Like, if the enemy are trying to shift your Heavy Intercessors, then they're not trying to shift your Sangre Guard, or they're not trying to shift your, their Death Company or something else. So like, as much as it would be cool to give the Heavy Intercessors loan op, not necessarily sure that I would want to give them it, because I kind of want the Heavy Intercessors to soak up some of the opponent's firepower. But no, I get what you're saying. I mean, there is advantages to that, right? Marius has been busy playing Rogue Trader. Do you know what? Andrew was talking to me about Rogue Trader. He was telling me that it was really, really good as well. So, which is nice to hear, because sometimes when Warhammer games come out, I don't know what it is about Warhammer, but sometimes when Warhammer video games come out, sometimes they don't quite hit the mark. So I'm really pleased to hear Rogue Trader is good. I really enjoyed Bolt Gun. I really enjoyed Chaos Gate. I want to play both of them again. I probably want to play Dark Tide again, because I only played Dark Tide when it first came out, and I believe it's had a lot of improvements since then. But there was something else. Yeah, Space Marine 2 has been delayed like a year. It's coming out September next year. But I'm actually happy about that. Like, I'm really happy about that, because like every couple of weeks this year, we've just heard about video game studio after video game studio rushing a game out, and then like 2 weeks later the video game studio has to close because they rushed the game out and it wasn't good enough, and they don't have any budget now because people didn't buy it because the game wasn't good enough. So I'm actually really pleased to hear that Space Marine 2 has been delayed, because if it's delayed, then it probably means the opposite. It probably means that they know they need a little bit more time, and I don't, you know, I watched the documentary about Half-Life. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a documentary about Half-Life celebrating the 25th anniversary of Half-Life just a few weeks ago. And they basically said in that documentary that, like, if they'd released Half-Life when the publisher wanted them to release it, it would have been rubbish. Like, Valve wouldn't even exist. The same thing would have happened. The studio would have been gone. Valve would never have got to make another game. But they just told the publisher, like, hey, we just need another year, and they got another year, and then Half-Life was like one of the most great games ever, and it's like genre defining, and I don't know, Half-Life was good, right? And there was a quote in that game, in the documentary, where Gabe Newell was like, you know, it's better to delay it than rush it out. So hopefully Space Marine 2 is going to be really good, because they're going to get the time they need. Eternal Crusader's here, still building Blood Angels. What are you building tonight, Eternal Crusader? When are you going to change your name as well? You can't be the Eternal Crusader anymore. You need to be like the Sanguinary Crusader, right? You're done. Your Black Templar brothers are going to throw you out of your chapter. They're going to be looking at you all funny like you've got the red thirst. But yeah, I'll probably get Space Marine 2. In fact, over the Christmas holidays, I was actually wanting to have another shot of a super old Warhammer game. I haven't played in like 10 or 15 years. So I'm going to try and make a video on that as well over the Christmas holidays, because I've got 2 weeks coming up on work. Next Friday I'm off for 2 weeks. So I'll be doing a lot of family stuff, but I will have some time and some extra time to myself. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Black Templars still have the Black Range, only it's optional. It's one of your vows, is it? It's an optional vow. Do you wash or pin line your models? Yes, man. What I do is basically, I'm pretty slow and inaccurate, but like what I do is I basically paint two coats of the colors on all the model first. So this guy's actually, I'd say 80% of this guy is still on his first coat, but like some of it, like this brass scorpion I'm putting on now, I guess this is coat number 2, it's probably going to need a second coat. So basically I'll start by just base coating the models, like very little precision, very inaccurate, and I'll get 2 or 3 coats on everything, and by the time I'm ready to do about the 3rd coat, I'll start going back and making it all much more accurate, clean up any mistakes and stuff like that. And then once I've got the 2 coat, like just did a mistake there for example, once I've got the 2 coats on, or the 3 coats depending, like if you're doing yellow you're probably resigned to 3 coats, right, because yellow apparently doesn't cover over anything. Even if you paint white you probably still need like 3 coats of yellow before you get a nice consistent yellow. Then for my guys, so these guys are based with 2 coats of Evil Sun Scarlet. So I basically just Agrax wash, like pin wash the whole guy, and then I'll just tidy it up as well with another coat of Evil Sun. So this guy here has no shading on him. Let me grab a guy that's got some shading. Suppose here's an Assault Intercessor who's got some shading. So it's a pretty rough pin wash. I was going to say, I'm not sure this is close enough to the camera, is it? So I just pin wash everything, all these little bits, every edge. Don't do any edge highlighting on it, just pin wash the whole thing. And then any mistakes, I'll just tidy up with Evil Sun Scarlet as well. So it gives me sort of like a quick and easy. Not that I ever finish anything quickly, but that's what I do, Terrence. I think usually if I'm doing a guy like this, like just a regular Marine, I probably end up spending 6 to 8 hours on each guy, and my paint jobs are very average. I don't have the greatest eyesight, so that doesn't help. So sometimes I end up going a bit like cross vision and stuff, and have to take breaks because my eyesight's bad. So that's why you don't see, I guess, that many painting tutorials from me on YouTube. I think there's plenty of people. If you want advice on what painting tutorials to watch, I can give you plenty of advice because I've watched a million people paint better than me. So I do enjoy painting, and I do enjoy the quality that I managed to achieve, and I guess that's probably what matters, right? If I'm happy with what I've achieved, and I can put them all on the table, and I think they all look nice together. That's all that matters, I think, right? Crozier says that he heard about the new box from Valrak. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Valrak has heard some more Blood Angels rumours. The problem with Valrak is he heard a bunch of them. He heard a bunch of them around the 10th edition launch as well, and then I was going to say, and then almost none of them came true. So I think it's like, it's almost, yes, there's going to be new Blood Angels models, probably in 10th edition. There's probably going to be some new jump units, I imagine, because that's what everyone's crying out for. Whether those come in 2020, I think they're probably coming in 2024. But I think they're probably coming towards the later half of 2024 with some sort of codex update, right? I think that's probably the most likely scenario. I guess we'll find out. Averland Sunset Azure Yellow base fixes the issue of coverage. Well, I mean, the Averland Sunset pot that I have must just suck. For some reason, the Averland Sunset pot that I have, Reziel, the paint inside that pot has always been super thin. I don't know why. Does Averland Sunset from GW just sometimes come super thin? Have I not shaken the pot enough? Shooken the pot enough? English fail. Could be a bad pot, I don't know. The Averland Sunset pot that I had was tragic. It needs like 2 or 3 coats every single time. So bad. Pudger says I do a similar recess wash and tidy up by also edge highlighting. Usually edge highlighting a model takes 20 minutes max and the shading takes hours. Worth learning. So I edge highlight all my Death Company. And I guess the edge highlighting takes probably, I was going to say, an hour, maybe even 90 minutes, because I'll end up making a lot of mistakes when I edge highlight, and then I'll end up having to go back with the first colour and tidy it all up. So I edge highlighted my Redemptor Dreadnought. I can show you that. I was quite pleased with the Redemptor Dreadnought. Yeah, let me show you that. That's edge highlighted. I got a box here with 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts in it. So here's the black one. But I don't know, I felt like this guy took ages. It's probably the only reason that I haven't done my Ballistus Dreadnought. This guy's magnetized as well. Because I feel like this guy took friggin' ages. The hands took ages. It's not perfect edge highlighting, especially around like that's a bit messy here, isn't it? So I will edge highlight if I'm painting black. So that's a black one, but then here's a red one. These are both magnetized. Is this one? No, I don't think this one's. This bit's magnetized. But I got some old Horus Heresy transfers on this one. I find it a lot quicker. It's probably why. It's a lot quicker for me to just do red and not have to worry about edge highlighting. It can be worth it, though. This guy's cool. I think he's pretty unique. I think he's pretty cool. Haven't seen that many Death Company Redemptors. Has anyone done a Death Company Redemptor? Thank you so much for the gifted, or Terrence. I do appreciate it. I'm trying to get 9 memberships for this month. Averland has been a core staple yellow of my army since it debuted. Well, I don't know why my Averland is so runny. Look, I've got it right here. Let me see if it's super runny just now. Like, I mean, it definitely needs a shake. I've not painted yellow in a little while. You should paint it as Death Company Eternal Crusader. It looks cool. Let's see this Averland. Like, look how thin that is compared to some of the other paints. Why is it so thin? I don't know. This Averland for me, I've had this pot for probably 5 or 6 years, honestly, because I don't only paint yellow helmets on like a quarter of my maybe not even a quarter. Like, only paint yellow helmets on like 10% of my guys. But why is it so bad? Why is that one so thin? Is that just a bad pot of Averland? It's not like I've added anything to it, right? I just assumed it was a crap paint, and it was very thin. Before I ever paint Averland, I literally always go back and like paint the model white first, so that like the yellow at least has some sort of coverage. Who's awoken? Roaring Smurf, good evening, hello. Your pot may have just been poor. Replace it. Okay. Might be poor pot. And that, I was gonna say, I never even really knew that could happen. I feel like maybe it hasn't happened to me much, maybe? Alright, I'll add it to the list to just throw that Averland away. It has been a bit of a nightmare to work with. But yeah, that one's always been really thin, that pot, ever since I got it, and I just assumed that's what it came like, and was like, not sure I'm a fan of this. I don't step away from GW paints all that often though, like unless I'm really upset. Like that's the kicker for me. If I'm really upset with the GW paint, then maybe I'll buy another brand, but it doesn't happen all that often. Usually I just power through, if that makes sense. But yeah, I want to say probably at this point, I've probably getting close to having spent 10 hours on these heavy intercessors. So I've got maybe another 10 to go. Somewhere like that. Trucker says his Averland's almost too thick. Alright, I didn't realise that. I guess I got a duff pot, huh? No, that pot has always been super thin. I was like, I just thought it was a bad paint, I guess. But because I'm only really painting like the odd Primaris helmet or the odd Beaky helmet here, I just didn't care. I was like, okay. If I was painting like my whole army with that yellow, I'd have probably gone and tried to search for another brand of yellow, because I wouldn't have been willing to persevere with that for that long. I think I'm going to make this guy the sergeant. You talk through the basing. Yeah, these bases aren't finished, but these are like super easy to do, man. So start off with a coat of Xandri dust. Then I literally throw down Armageddon dust, which is basically Xandri dust with sand in it. It's the same colour, so that's like Xandri dust. Right, oh, it needs to show. Xandri dust always splits like that. So that's your Xandri dust colour, right? Sort of like that weird beige colour. Armageddon dust is the same, that weird beige colour with sand in it, as far as I'm aware. So, coat of this. Put that on with like a tool though, don't try and put that on with a brush. I do have an old brush I sometimes use, but I use like one of these sort of scalpel-y things. So put that on with this. Then literally, Agrax Earthshade the whole thing, be reasonably liberal. And that's what that is, that's all that is. Like, Xandri dust with Agrax Earthshade, and then if you want to bring it up a little bit, like I do a dry brush on it with like Tyrant Skull, which is like a off-white dry paint. So I'll just bring like some of the grains of sand at the top and put a little bit of white into them, so it just gives it a bit more depth. It's super easy, honestly. It takes the longest part of doing it is waiting for the texture paint to set, because the texture paint takes like, probably need to leave the texture paint like an hour to set before you try and before you try and put wash over it. If you don't wait like an hour, then the wash will just like get absorbed into it and you'll have to do it again. So most of my techniques are pretty simple, right? Like, greetings Island Phoenix, it's been a little while, how are you? Hello Stormbringer. The GW pots are wearing on me. They have so much crusted paint around the lids. I was going to say Kyle, if you've ever watched Battlestar Galactica, I was going to just say, so say we all. Everybody sort of hates the GW pots and how they get all the paint crusted up in their lids. Some people think it's a sales tactic to sell more pots. I don't know. I think it's I don't think it's that. I think they probably... How often that makes you buy a new pot of paint for like $2? I don't think it's a sales tactic. I think they just use shitty pots. And because if you can get your paints in dropper bottles, and some people do just transfer their Games Workshop paints into dropper bottles, I just don't have the time and patience for that. I've said it before, if Games Workshop sold their paints for like $1 more in dropper bottles, whenever I was replacing any of my paints, I would just buy the dropper bottle version, because I think with a dropper bottle you can control much better how much you're taking out. Like when I'm painting right now, I have like a crappy brush I take the paint out of the pot on, then I have a more detailed brush for actually painting, just to try and like save putting all that paint, like getting too much paint too high up the bristles of my decent brush. So if they did dropper bottles, I think that would be a huge win for them, and I think people would be willing to pay extra for the dropper bottles, honestly. I would be. Because then you can just be like, I just need 1 drop of paint, so that's what comes out. But yeah, I mean, the theory is, the matrix type theory, or whatever you want to call it, is that people think that GW use the crappy bottles to sell more paint. I don't know if I buy that. I just think they use crappy bottles. They probably just don't care enough to change the bottles, right? Like, people buy the paint anyway, it's going to be an expense for them to change the bottles. Why should they change the bottles? You shouldn't need to pay extra? Well, I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel. I would pay extra for dropper bottles, but maybe we shouldn't. Sure, I would just tell you I would pay an extra $1 for each dropper bottle. If you think you're losing some paint, you'd probably save the $1 by buying the dropper bottle, right? Alright, I'm just bouncing around tonight, putting base coats on these guys. I don't really have any plans or anything like that. I'm just bouncing around. It's most likely because the bottles are cheap. Exactly, Kim. It's most likely because the bottles are cheap. Like, for example, I can't even get this gold pot to close anymore. Like, you look at the side of that, because there's so much paint encrusted in the lid here that this gold pot won't close. Now, I've done this before on stream and it's a bit messy, but here's a trick for you. If you don't know it, I was going to say, have I got one where I did it before on stream? I think I did it on Celestia Grey, maybe. Is this the one I did it on? Yeah, I did it on this one, right?
I have awoken.
So what you can do is you can cut the lid off like this, right? If you're not going to put paint on the top of it, because I never put paint on the top of it, I take the paint straight out of the bottle, put it on the pad. You can cut the top off the bottle like this, right? And if you, it's messy, a little bit messy, if you push enough pressure on this bit here, right, like you flip it, like you have to bend it and flip it inside out, put a lot of pressure on. If you've got a lot of paint on here, it's going to be messy. So when you cut the lid off, transfer all the paint from the lid into the bottle. So there's this little paint on top. If you push it and flip it inside out, when you flip it inside out, that whole ring of shit will actually come out. You know, like it will come out in like 2 seconds flat, rather than you trying to pick that paint out so you can get the bottle closed. It does mean cutting it It does mean it can be messy, but if you push enough pressure on that, like right on the top of the bottle and flip it inside out, you'll get all that paint out. Have you ever done an army showcase? I've done some pictures. Thorolden uses a toothpick to scoop out. Trust me, flip one of your old ones upside down that's full of crap and see how quickly you get it out. Because you get it out in like 2 seconds flat. It's just awkward for me to try and do it on stream, and I'll probably embarrass myself. I'm very good at embarrassing myself on stream. 1 second, right? I think it's this folder here. Yeah, so in the summer, this summer, I put all the models that I have together on this is like my dining room table. This was my finished Blood Angels as of, I'll tell you the date on this photo, as of June. Why does it say June 22? I think it was, I'm sure it was this summer. It says June 22, but I'm sure it was this summer. Maybe the date on my camera is messed up. This was my finished Blood Angels as of the summer just passed, before the stuff at the back went Legends. Can I not zoom through these? Why is it not let me do a slideshow? Can I just press next? Yeah, look, so these are photos I took for the channel of all my completed stuff. And it's not the biggest Blood Angels army, I know that. It could be a lot bigger if I didn't spend all week making YouTube videos. I spend like 4 nights a week making YouTube videos, so most of this honestly was painted before I started doing YouTube. About half of it is probably painted since I've been doing YouTube. Been doing YouTube about 4 years now. I guess I was gonna say, have I added any finished models since I painted this? Maybe a couple of characters. But yeah, no, I maybe finished like 1 or 2 more squads. But that was my army as of June. That was fully painted, transferred, varnished. I have about the same again, half painted, so like battle ready, like 3 colours, but not fully finished, not varnished, etc. And then I probably have about the same again on sprues or just all over the place, like just a bit of a mess in terms of like how unfinished it is. So that's seeing the siege drill makes me sad. Yeah, that siege drill has found its way into a cupboard, and I guess it's going to stay there for many years now. It's very sad. I loved that siege drill. I got to play with that siege drill at one tournament, and I had a lot of fun with the siege drill. I really hope we get another season like the Arcs of Omen season, where it was just like you could just use all sorts of crazy SHIT for a season. Because we've had the Leviathan cards like almost 6 months now, right? Like, because Leviathan came out in June, so arguably like by January we'll have had the Leviathan cards by 6 months. Like, are we gonna get? And I don't know if they're doing chapter approved anymore, but like, are we gonna do like a new Leviathan deck, an updated deck? Is that a Thunderhawk? No, the tank at the back is the Falchion Super Heavy Tank. It's called the Relic Falchion Super Heavy Tank Destroyer. And it's got a twin-linked volcano cannon on it, which is actually, it's worse than it used to be. At one point, it used to be able to do 144 damage a turn. 144 damage, yeah, you heard that right. In a turn of shooting. They made it a bit worse than it was now, but I think now it's flat 12 damage. I think it only gets 4 shots now, but I mean, flat 12 is pretty nice. But now it's Legends, whereas before you could field it, and it was pretty fun. I played it a bunch of times on the channel. People didn't know how to deal with it because you had to kill it. You can't just leave a tank that can do 100 wounds per turn. And sorry, it was 144. Yeah, you can't just leave a tank that can do 144 wounds alive every turn, can you, right? because it has like 8 las cannons, the twin volcano cannon, and then like 9 heavy bolters or something. It was a lot of fun. I wonder if they keep the Stratus playable for the foreseeable future. I think they will, because it's a Primaris tank, right? Like, they're not going to Legends Primaris models, I feel like. So I think you'd be safe enough to buy a... I think you'd be safe to buy a Stratus if you want one. I just don't know if the Stratus is all that good, because it lost a couple of the mechanics that it had that was really good, right? Like, it had those void shields that regenerated every turn, and like, yeah, I mean, I think without the void shields and stuff, I'm not sure I like it as much as I liked it. I went to a tournament with the Stratus in 9th edition. I don't know if you remember watching that video, but I did take it to a tournament. And I did really well. I was like 1 game away from winning that tournament with the Stratus. And it was the same, people didn't really know how to deal with it. Well, of course, killed the Stratus was friggin' broken ass Eldar haywire grenades, I think, on the bikes. It just absolutely destroyed it in like 1 turn. I was like, oh, of course Eldar can kill everything that they want in 1 turn. That's Eldar for you, isn't it? Eldar players always moaning about balance, and then they just rock up with like a jet bike that can kill a super heavy tank. I'm like, okay, Eldar, thanks. I'm not bitter at all about Eldar. Do you know what? I've not played Eldar since they were super obnoxious at the start of 10th. I had a lot of run-ins with them in 9th actually as well. Brock, good evening, how are you? Reginald says he's going to sell off some of his Horus Heresy stuff. See, that's the thing, Rez, though, right? Like, the falchion was like $250, and then how many hours must I have spent on that? So if I wanted to sell the falchion, I don't know if I could even let it go for like less than there's no way I could let it go for less than like 500. And then it's sentimental. It's like, it's such a cool piece. You've got memories of playing with it, etc, etc, etc. It's like, I don't know if I could ever sell my falchion. Part of me thinks that I can't sell it. Like, I'm too attached to it. I can't sell it. Crispy Delicious, how are you? Good evening. Yeah, my hangout times have changed a little bit as of late. My kids are finally growing up and going to bed at reasonable times and stuff like that. So I've been hanging out a little bit earlier than I used to hang out, I guess. But it's also because I'm having to get up earlier in the morning because the kids are getting up at like 6:30 every day. So because I've been getting up earlier, the kids have been going to bed earlier, and then I've been hanging out a little bit earlier as well. So it is what it is, I guess. Just play with it using Legends rules. Well, the tournament I just went to actually just said F it and just decided to support Legends. So if I go to another GT this edition that supports Legends, well, I think I'm definitely going to a few more GTs this edition. I want to win like one legitimately. Like, if I could just hurry up and win a GT with like a proper list, like my Gladius list that I just ran. Like, if I'd won this GT that was just passed, then I feel like I could just be like, right, next GT I'm just going to take this super heavy tank and have fun. Because I like to have fun as well. I like to give my opponents... There is value in just going to GT to have fun. You don't need to be super serious every single GT. And that's the thing about playing one army, is like, sometimes your army, if you only play one army like I do, sometimes you can end up going to a tournament where you're like, well, my army's kind of in a bad place right now, you know, our codex hasn't come out, or there's been a lot of power creep and there's nothing we can do into certain matchups. You just have to go to the GT and try and have fun. And sometimes those GTs where you're sort of forced to just go and have fun because you aren't competitive, they can actually be the best ones to go to, because you're just like, I'm just here to have fun. I don't need to be getting stressed if I lose a game. I don't need to be trying super hard. Like, sometimes I try so hard at GTs I give myself headaches, man. And this one just passed on after day one when I was 3-0. I honestly went to bed at 10 o'clock and woke up at like 9, so I slept for like 11 hours. Normally I sleep for like 6.5. I was like, what the actual hell? I've been concentrating so hard at Warhammer, I needed 5 hours extra sleep. Sorry, Tarzan said, have you... oh, I already answered that. Have you ever done the army showcase? Yeah, I used all those photos in my channel trailer for this year, Tarzan. So I just made an updated channel trailer because I hadn't done one in a while, and I used those photos as like part of the channel trailer to just try and refresh the channel trailer. I think the channel trailer I had on the channel previously I made when I had like 300 subscribers, or maybe it was like when I had like 500 subscribers, and I guess the channel has changed a lot since I had 500 subscribers. Like it's kind of, I can't even, you know, like I think back and it's like I don't ever remember having like, let's say, less than like 7,000 subscribers or something. Like it's like I've had a lot of subscribers for a lot of time now, I guess. Rizzo says I have the 2 Blood Angel specific Contemptors for one thing. I'm going to paint the holy hell out of them and sell them for a profit. Are you talking about the one with the jump pack? I always had hoped that the jump pack guy would actually eventually get that would eventually get 40k rules. I'd always hoped that was going to be a thing. Benno says, remember you had less than 10k not long ago. Growing a bit faster now. I'm actually growing a lot slower now, Benno, if you look at the analytics. I only hit 2,000 new subscribers this last year, because YouTube, I put it on my Twitter earlier today, actually. Because YouTube emailed me like an end of year update thingy. To tell me that I had 2,100 subscribers this year. So I guess this time last year I had 11,800 or something. So it must have been like mid-2022 when I hit 10,000. So yeah, you know what, that seems like a long time ago. I don't know, maybe I don't remember. Time has become weird ever since COVID though, right? Like a lot of people have lost some sort of perception of time because COVID made everybody have to stay inside and no one... Camo says I've entered a league for next year, hoping to start climbing through ranks and maybe even win best faction in the UK. Wish me luck, we need it. Well, I mean, maybe you can do it, man. It is a dice game, I mean there is an element of luck, but I always think it's about practice, man. Just practice your list, get your list solid and practice and practice and practice. I always think it's important to settle on a list early and practice it rather than like switch your list at last minute even if you think it's stronger. You know, like I'd rather go to a GT with a less strong list that I practiced like 10 times than like maybe a meta list if I've only played it like 2 times, right? So like try and settle on a list and try and just get as many practice reps in as you can, I guess, would be my advice. At some point I would like to try and be like the best faction player in the UK, for example, for a season, but I just don't know if I know for a fact I don't go to enough tournaments to make that happen, and I don't think I could go to enough tournaments. Not for like 5 years or something. Not until both kids will actually listen to me or their mum for like a weekend. Because at the moment you're like, tell the kids to listen and then they listen for like 5 minutes and then you go back to doing some dumb shit that you asked them not to do, you know? My little boy like likes to climb on things all the time. And I'm just waiting for the time he falls off and like smashes his head off the ground. And you say to him like, stop climbing. And like, you know, he listens for all of 2 seconds and then you turn your back and he's climbing again. So until that happens, I don't think I could enter like a million tournaments. Maybe when the kids are teens, yeah, exactly. When the kids have developed motor skills and listening skills, you don't need constant supervision, yeah, then that would be the time for me to enter, trying to do something special with Blood Angels, right? I'd like to do it. I'd probably have to save quite a bit, because like I need to travel quite a lot for tournaments, but I think I would like to try and do that at some point. Just a little bit far away. I must have just started basically started the YouTube channel during COVID, right? And then during COVID is also when my wife got pregnant for the first time, because hey, you weren't exactly allowed to go out your house. There's only so many things you could do during COVID, right? I quite like the poses of the heavy intercessors. That's what I'm saying, Rez. If you practice enough with the same army or the same list, I think you know anyone could do it. You just need practice. It's all about, but then you need practice on the same list, and then you need practice into as many different enemy factions as you can get. And that's the bit I have trouble with. But I think that, you know, it probably just comes down to how many tournaments are you willing to go to. Like if you're willing to go to like 3 or 4 events every quarter, do that for a year, you're probably in a good spot. Okay. Everyone knows it's all about the skill of rolling the correct dice. Do you know what? As much as 40k is a dice game, I actually don't think barely any of it comes down to the dice rolls. I mean, yes, you can get lucky or you can get unlucky on occasion, but I want to say that like 80% of the time it's nothing to do with the dice rolls, you know that? That's why, like, when people like say to me like, oh, you know, like last night's game you only won because of the dice, I'm like, I think you should not blame the dice, because you roll enough dice over the course of the game that, like, yeah, like, you know, like the game I played against World Eaters last week, Karn should have 100% been dead. I hit him with so many shots, he should have been dead, but, you know, like, at the end of the game then, like, a dice roll goes, you know, so my opponent got lucky with Karn, but he got unlucky somewhere else, right? Like, if you roll enough, like, how many dice do you roll over a game of 40k? Like, at least a couple of hundred, right? If you roll that many dice, I think there's enough. Oh look, I managed to get that giant piece of congealed paint out of that gold pot. The gold pot will close again, yay. So yeah, it's as much as like outsiders might say like, oh, it's a dice game. It's not. It's not a dice game. It's a game of tactics, and very, very rarely do the dice influence the victory. Like I was gonna say, like, less, because good players win tournaments all the time, right? Like less than 1 in 100 games probably. Like, that's the infrequency of hot dice, cold dice type thing. That's my opinion. Maybe you disagree with that. But I think most of the time the dice don't decide the game. Good positioning, good strategy, good decision making, that's what decides the game. Unless you play World Eaters. It makes me a bit sad when I lose to players there and say it was because of the dice swap, because people say you've lost because they rolled good. Well, I mean, if they say that, they don't know 40k, because I really don't think it's a dice game. Raoul says it's easy to blame the dice. Exactly. Good players will not blame the dice, and good players will know that the dice have such a small... For every good dice roll you make, you'll make a bad one as well. Poor strategies can make it a dice game. Yeah, do you know what? It becomes a dice game when you've made poor decisions. And it's like, oh shit, I made this poor decision, I now need to roll 3 6s, or I've lost the game. That's when it becomes a dice game. And yeah, okay, you know, once in a blue moon you need to make 3 6-up saves and you make all 3 and you win the game. I mean, it happens. But I want to say it happens so infrequently that I feel like it's not a dice game, if that makes sense. You know, like good poker players win poker games, right? They can't be like, oh, I got aces every hand. It doesn't happen. You get aces once every 50 hands or something like that, right? But the good poker players still win all the time, right? So it's the same. To me, it's the same thing. Sometimes lack of terrain. Yeah, I mean, you need balanced terrain. If it's becoming a dice game because there's not enough terrain, then I guess you need to... What we do for our games on the stream is we look up like tournament terrain and copy it. You know, like if you're losing games against your opponents in your play group or whatever you call it, like you're at your local club and you think that the terrain is affecting the game results, then Google like some tournaments and copy their table layouts, because like I feel like the terrain shouldn't make it a dice game either. Weird tangent that we're on. Mullen says he's got an idea for a video which unit is best to put in a Land Raider. I'll tell you what most people are doing. Most people are doing the biologist plus the aggressors, because they fit perfectly in a Redeemer, the 7 of them. Beyond that, I was going to say you're probably going to want Death Company with jump packs in a Land Raider, but I think most people that are using Land Raiders are probably doing the aggressor, biologist, bomb type play, right? I feel like I always try to play down bad rolls. I do not tilt myself, but a lot of my opponents make a big deal out of it, so they don't remember my bad rolls but only remember how their rolls were bad. Yeah, I think I'm the same, man. Like, I think at an event, whatever, like, I think I've just removed that sort of form of thinking from my brain, right? Like, just play the game, and if you're rolling good or you're rolling bad, you know, like, I've done that as well. Like, I remember I was playing a game just at this GT Pass, and one of my opponents was like, "You're rolling really well," and I was like, "Am I?" You know, like, I'm not monitoring from turn to turn if I'm rolling well or not. I think that's probably like the wrong thing to be doing. Like, the right thing to be doing would be to be concentrating on the game and trying to think like, hey, I can kill this unit, I can go do this, you know, like, concentrate on the game. Have like, there's always times where you know, like before your turn, before you move a single model in your turn, you should almost plan out the whole turn. You know, like, I'm sure you guys have seen me do that on stream, where I'm like, right, this unit's going to kill this unit, and this unit's going to go over here so they can make the charge, and, you know, like, my whole turn is planned before I move a single unit. And, yeah, sometimes it goes to shit, right? Like, sometimes a unit which you're convinced is going to kill something doesn't do anything, you know, like, it whiffs, it misses all its shots. Well, I think that rather than worrying about the fact that you missed all your shots, what you should be doing is like, so what's the contingency? You know, like, if this Land Raider doesn't do any damage with its las cannons, then how am I dealing with that great unclean one over there? Because you know, like, you can think about it in your head, and you can be like yes, statistically, because most of us know, right? Like, you know, if you've got 4 shots, for example, and you know you hit on 4s, you can do the math in your head. You're going to like, all right, I'm going to make 2 hits. It's -3, so the opponent, maybe he has a 4-up save, right? So you can go, right, if I make 2 hits, he's not going to get any saves, and then, you know, like, so you can figure out some of that in your head before you even make your move. So you should be doing that, and you should know. But then I think the more important thing than worrying about the dice roll is, like, what's the contingency? If this guy misses all his shots, what's the contingency? You know, that's probably how I play. Like, I don't really think about dice rolls anymore. Maybe, like, I've just developed that without really consciously thinking it, but yeah, I think I just don't think it's a dice game. Like, think ahead, think of it more like chess, right? Like, be planning a little bit further in advance, be planning on your contingencies. Sangori Angel says, finally caught a live stream, thanks for everything you do, John, always makes my week to paint and listening in. Dude, thanks so much for the comment, that's very kind of you. Nice to meet you, if you finally just caught a live stream. All these bloody wires on these heavy intercessors, making it hard to get to their armor and their legs. It's hard to get to the armor and the legs, it's even harder to see the armor and the legs. There's like no light in there whatsoever, and I've got this light right in front of me and I'm still struggling. But yeah, I don't think much about dice, and I try not to worry about whether I roll hot or not. I mean, it's nice. It's nice when you one-shot something, you know, like, oh, boom, there's 8 damage, deal with it. It's nice when you make those 2 critical 4-up saves, but, like, I would say don't try and rely on that in the midst of your games. Just try and rely on doing what you do to organize your forces or whatever, right? You can live and die by the dice. If you live and die by the dice, you're going to die a lot. I think you're probably right, Campbell. JT Money says, I almost got the new Kill Team box as my second army of wanting to play is Craft World. The new Kill Team box has scouts. What do you mean it's got 0 scouts? Librarian Dread and my buddy's Hive Tyrant went 3 turns in melee without killing each other last week, if we're going to talk about double bad luck. You're oath the moment, the Hive Tyrant, huh? You can use focused witchfire in combat though, correct, right? Were you trying to smite him as well and you're just super bad? The worst luck ever? I actually kind of like the focused witchfire on Librarian. The problem though is, like, I sometimes feel like if you want that focused witchfire to be good, you do need to use Oath of Moment. Because the Librarian's ballistic skill and weapon skill of 3-up are a problem. They were a problem last edition, they're a problem this edition. He doesn't have weight of attacks. His force pike's pretty... Force halberd is it called now? It's pretty great though, isn't it? Is there any play for a 10-man Death Company Intercessor squad, says Lionheart? It's a tough question, man. It's like, what would you be doing with them? I know they get a free Overwatch. I know they get a free Heroic Intervention. They need a chaplain to have any OC, which is kind of a little bit of a problem. They don't have great melee options, so you've got them with bolt rifles. Standard, like, sort of toughness 4 Marines with bolt rifles aren't that exciting. I mean, you don't take them for the bolt rifle damage, you take it because they have some sort of cool... like, you would take intercessors because they sticky objectives. You wouldn't take them for the bolt rifles. Is there a list where you could make 10 heavy... Sorry, is there a list where you could make 10 Death Company intercessors work reasonably well? Probably. Is there going to be better units that you can probably take instead of them in every situation? Probably. So, I mean, you've got to weigh all that in. Death Company intercessors are a weird unit. Like, most people just recommend you would run Firstborn Death Company because you get weapon options, you get jump packs. They arguably do the same thing. The Overwatch, what is it, 10 guys, 20 shots? So you're going to roll like 3 6s, you get a reroll hit, so maybe in Overwatch you make like 5 hits at -1/1 damage. I mean, is 5 hits at -1/1 damage worth a command point? Well, it's not a command point, is it? It's free, I suppose. So it's 5 hits, 1 damage for free. Is that worth it? Rather than taking like jump packs and power fists? Feels like it's probably not, right? You know, 1 round of combat with jump packs and power fists and infernal pistols is going to do better than that free 5 damage from your intercessors. I don't want to be like just instantly shutting you down and saying no, you can't make Death Company with intercessors work, but I just think there's probably a lot of better options and you're going to struggle a little bit. Reziel, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. Camo, thanks as well. I probably only have like 10 more minutes here tonight, so I'm just actually tidying up a few little bits of red here from some of the mistakes and stuff that I've made in previous sessions. I've got a lot to go on these heavy intercessors, like a lot to do. Before I'm even ready to shade them, I've got a lot to do. It's fine though, I mean, I'll get there. I think this is going to be the next unit I finish. I think that I want to get a unit finished because I haven't finished one in a little while, so I'm just going to keep working on these heavy intercessors. You'll probably see me do these over the next few weeks. We'll keep working on them and we'll get to shading them. Hopefully not too far away, not too distant future, we'll get there. Mal says I think they can work, but you have to spend more points to assist since most toughness 4 are better for one thing or another. Yeah, I mean, if you've bought 10 of them, I mean, I always say to people, try them, don't just listen to my opinion. I just think there's always going to be better things you could probably spend your points on, and I don't think their buffs are good enough. I don't know what they would have to change to make their buffs good enough, but I just don't know if I feel their buffs are good enough, the Death Company intercessors. Which is a little bit sad, because you never want a unit where it's just like, why would I ever want to run this unit? But they're just not great, I guess. It would be cool if they made a Death Company upgrade to turn whatever unit we wanted in Death Company, and you got to feel no pain and +1 to charge. Do you know what? Maybe there'll be a detachment though, right? Like when they finally release Codex Blood Angels, maybe there'll be some sort of Death Company detachment. There was a hot minute last edition where you could run that sort of Death Company. It wasn't like a Death Company list, but you could run a You could run. Was it Fury of the Lost, where it was like every time your Death Company killed something, you got victory points, and every time the Death Company died, you got victory points. It was pretty cool. It was one of my favorite tournaments actually. Is I went to a tournament where it was like I just ran like 4 or 5 units of Death Company. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll see. I'm sure we'll see some sort of Death Company type theming in the Codex. But I think our Codex is probably going to be towards the end of next year, so we're going to have to wait like a long time. So I guess if we all agree we're going to have to wait a long time, then I guess the question is to figure out what we think is going to be the most fun to tide us over. Some people obviously have settled on Ironstorm. I've been playing a lot of Gladius. I do like Gladius a lot. I'd really like to win some sort of tournament with Gladius, and then maybe after that I'm going to change detachment. That's what I'm hoping to do. I think Gladius definitely has the ability to win some events. Imagine a Flesh Tearers and a Lamarta's detachment. The Flesh Tearers detachment will be crazy, huh? Maybe it'll be like the whole detachment gets advance and charge. You remember in the old editions, you were not allowed to control your Death Company. If they were in the range of the enemy, they just had to charge them. That was like one of the stipulations for Death Company of old. It was like, I think you had to move towards the closest enemy, you weren't allowed to choose, and if you could make a charge, you had to make a charge. It was a pretty crazy time to be running Death Company. But yeah, I mean, when the Dark Angels Codex comes out, which is very soon, right? That'll give us an idea of what we might get to expect from our Codex, right? Because however many detachments Dark Angels get, I imagine we get the same number of detachments, relics, stratagems. And also, if Dark Angels are getting this sort of like refresh, like unit refresh, like new models and stuff like that, you would think that whatever refresh they're getting, we don't get it in 10th edition, we'd maybe get it like 11th edition, who knows? Because I feel like they're probably going to get something similar to what the Black Templars got refresh wise, right? In the old edition, yeah, your units join Death Company randomly. Yeah, it was pretty crazy in the old edition. Sometimes a Terminator could join the Death Company, sometimes a Tactical Marine could join the Death Company. Yeah, that was crazy. It was also very fun, thematic. I don't think they'll do that again. I've been used to the 5-man Death Company intercessors for the Overwatch deterrent. They're cheap, grenades mortal wounds, throwing them with Librarian Dreadnought is a distraction tactic, or to kill an infiltrator screen. So there is a there is a play. Thanks for sharing that, Blood Buffalo. Well, there you go. Maybe it's not the 10-man you were asking about, but you could always split your 10-man into 2 5-man squads, right? That's nice when the community can come together like that and come up with some ideas for a unit that I'm kind of struggling with. Thank you for that. I'm going to have to go here in a sec. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I've got the new tier list video coming out this week for sure. We'll have the army list show probably on Sunday as always. Time allowing, I'll be back painting more heavy intercessors. Say they're almost getting to about halfway close. Well, at least halfway of all the base colours, and then there'll be the washing. So, yeah, I haven't actually seen that many people share photos of completed heavy intercessors. Am I the only person running them? If you've got photos of completed heavy intercessors, share them on the Discord and tag me so I can get a look at what you guys have done. If not, then I guess I'll share mine at some point in the next month. I'll probably finish these guys this month. Yeah, cool. Hit like on the stream before you leave if you don't mind taking the 2 seconds to hit like. Anytime you like my videos, it's super appreciated. Helps me out in the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, the only other thing that I've got going on that's going to be big, hopefully it's going to be big, is at New Year's. I guess we're going to do a stream at New Year's Eve. Maybe with a couple of beers and stuff, maybe with a couple of guests. So we have that going on hopefully at New Year's. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys for that as well. Marcus, you superstar. Thank you so much, dude. That's very, very kind of you. I was going to say, apparently I need to buy a new Averland Sunset. Maybe you've just bought me my new Averland Sunset. I was kind of humming and hawing about buying these company heroes as well. So maybe I need to consider buying the company heroes. I feel like I need to proxy these company heroes in a game. I was building some models that I could proxy the company heroes. Blood Buffalo says, I hit like not to help, but the world needs to know what I like. I mean, it's good to know what you like, isn't it? Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, so I think that I was going to say the new tier list is uploaded. So expect the new tier list on Friday. The Gabriel Seth tier list, the rework from last week, is also filmed and uploaded. It needs a description and stuff done, so that'll be coming very soon as well. I think we're going to film the 3rd tier list here on Monday as well, so we've got that coming too. So, great. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Merry Christmas to you all. I'm sure I'm going to see you for a bunch of streams over Christmas.
Marcus the Geiger Counter donated $19.99 via Super Chat. Merry Christmas, Holidays Commander.
Merry Christmas to you, Marcus. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys sometime later this week. Have an awesome week. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.